Good evening, members. Welcome to this Economy in Place Scrutiny Committee. The first item of business today is the appointment of the chair in the absence of the standing chair and vice chair. So can I seek nominations for chair of the committee? Please, Councillor Wilton.
I'd like to propose Mark Holland, chair for this meeting. I was also going to say that, so I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations for chair? By show of hands, then, can I? Very much. That is unanimous. Thank you. I will now hand over to the chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, members, you'll be aware that there are quite a few absences from tonight's meeting, all of whom are substituted, and for that reason I am deputising tonight. Tonight only, I should be very demure, very mindful, if I may. Item number 1 on the agenda then is apologies for absence. We've already heard that we are in the absence of Councillor Andrew Parker. He is being substituted tonight by Councillor Joe Wielden. Other apologies that we have received are Councillor Robert Beckley-Smith being substituted by Councillor Adcock, Councillor Panter being substituted by Councillor John Tagg, Councillor Jill Waring being substituted by me, and Councillor Robert Moss, who is being substituted by Councillor Rees tonight. Those are all of the apologies we have, and I think that's all of them, but do you want to? Councillor Grocott.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Councillor Plunkett and Councillor Jones, hopefully to make it a bit late. You're stuck at work, okay? Thank you.
Absolutely fine. I'm sure they're on their way if they make it. So much the better. It's nice to have seats filled. I don't have a full script for tonight, but I do have the opening statement with which our officer has issued me, which is as follows. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Newcastle and Lyme Borough Council Economy in Place Scrutiny Committee, which is a public meeting. It is being recorded. Communications have been tested in the room. The recording will be made available on the Borough Council's website after the meeting. I would remind members to please use their desktop microphones when invited to speak, and that standards of behaviour for meetings apply as set out in the Council's standing orders. Mobile phones should be switched off or set to silent. There are no planned fire drills during this meeting, and the fire exits are clearly marked. In the event of the alarm activating, please follow directions from staff. So without further ado, we'll move on with the agenda. Now, item number 2 is declarations of interest. Does anyone have any interests to declare? I see no interests. Item number 3, minutes of the previous meeting, which have been circulated. Can we agree that those are a true and accurate record? I see nodding heads. Those are agreed. Item number 4, then the first substantive item, is an update on the local plan. I will invite, I think, our officer to give us an introduction to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. The update to the local plan report is on pages 9 to 14 of tonight's agenda pack. Following full council on the 24th of July, where members approved the final draft local plan and associated documents for consultation. The 8-week consultation starts on the 12th of August and runs until the 7th of October. As stated at our previous meeting, this stage consultation is a more formal stage and considers whether the final draft local plan and associated documentation is sound and capable of adoption, and further information on the tests of soundness and such like is set out in paragraph 1.6 of the agenda pack. Comments submitted at this stage are sent in full to the Secretary of State on submission to the examination, and the report goes on to say what the potential outcomes of the examination process could be in paragraph 1.8. As I say, we are a large amount of evidence-based documents, consultation documents, and supporting information, including frequently asked questions and explained videos, etc., have now been put on the website since the 12th of August. And the consultation is live with copies of the main documents available in libraries also, and site notices have been put up for relevant sites post allocation of final draft plan. We've also sent out notifications, press releases have been sent out, as has an item covered on the radio in relation to the local plan. As detailed in the report, there's also been a number of drop-in consultation events, and the purpose of these events is to provide information about how comments can be submitted to the plan. And table 1 of the report on page 12 sets out the details of local plan consultation events. Just to update members that since the publication of the report, we've had another consultation event at Red Street Community Centre, and that was attended by 14 people. And we've also, as detailed in that table, got a number of consultation events or drop-in exhibition events in the upcoming week. So we've got Audley tomorrow, and then Silverdale and an event at Keele next week, and then Guildhall the week after. As set out in paragraph 2.7, those were the representations submitted at the time of drafting the report. Just to update members that since that time as of today, we've now had a total of 70 representations made by 44 people. And all these are now published on our consultation portal for people to have a look at. In terms of next steps, as set out in paragraphs 1.4, 1.5 of the pack on page 10, we intend to submit the plan at the end of the calendar year, unless there's representations made which materially impact on the overall plan strategy, and then a further report will be taken to full council. I think the main message as an update to members is set out in paragraph 2.8, which is the consultation runs until 7th of October. Comments can be made through completing representation form on the consultation portal, or emailing the plan and policy team, or writing to us at the address in that paragraph. And just to clarify, the 7th of October is 11:59 on the 7th of October. So I can encourage everyone to submit any representations they want to make on the plan before that time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that introduction. We'll open that up then to members. If you have any comments on the report or questions for our officer or the portfolio holder, Councillor Fear, now would be a good time if anyone would like to ask any questions. Councillor Gorton.
Thank you, Chair. Could I just check the events will all be drop-in events? There's no suggestion of any sort of public meeting. We're consistently running drop-in events. I went to the one at Borough. I thought it was fine. It's lots of officers there, well able to answer questions. Myself, this is just a personal point of view. I am not particularly enamoured of public meetings on this particular issue. I think that they can get hijacked. I've had some discussions with Wolverhampton residents about this, but I think we've got the format right.
I thank the councillor for his supportive comments. I agree. I think the drop-in format is best, not least because it allows people a 2-hour slot to come, talk to officers and have their say, rather than say, if we had a public meeting, it would have to be at a fixed point. So I think we've got more opportunity this way. And again, I'd like to reiterate what our officers said, that the consultation is still ongoing. There's still plenty of time for people to make representations. We very much want people to make those representations. I think also what our officers said is probably pertinent in the sense that since this report was compiled, we've had more responses, and in fact a larger number of responses in that week than we've had before. Every year I get a note from the taxman saying now is the time to do your tax return. You can do it at up to the end of January, though. Every year I make a vow that I will do it straight away, and every year I do it at the end of January. So I'm expecting actually there to be an incremental rise in these things as we come to the end of the system. But as ever, as I said to my students at work, an essay deadline is the very last moment you can do this. There's nothing to stop you doing things before that. So I would urge people who have read the material and want to make their comments to do so now. That will ensure that nothing goes wrong in any shape or form. Although, once again, I would want to stress that, if you want to put pen to paper, you want to write an email rather than use the portal, all of that is absolutely fine. And all of those responses will still go to the inspector unredacted and without prejudice.
Thank you for that question and that answer. Is there a follow-up, Councillor Gorton? Or?
Not on that particular issue, Chair. Am I right in thinking, just talking about the representation form, that was, the authority really had no say in that, but that was something that was designed and stipulated by the inspector?
I'll ask Mr. Clark to comment that in a moment, but my understanding is, yes, the style of that form is something which the planning inspectorate prefer, which, you know, is a little bit unfortunate in one way, but in another way, I suppose it's a good thing, because it means that if you address the questions that the inspector's interested in the way that they want it to be, your voice will be heard that little bit more easily. But I'll just ask Mr. Clark perhaps to elaborate on that.
Yeah, thank you. In terms of the forms, yeah, the planning inspectorate set out a preferred template for authorities to use to assist the inspector at future examination. But that, just to emphasise, that that's not to stop people from submitting the views in the form that they would like, and those will be processed and sent on to the inspector. It's just the inspectorate preferred to have a framework for people to respond to in order to assist the examination at a later date.
Thank you very much. Are there any further questions or comments from members of the committee? Councillor Grocott.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Just one thing I've been asked, and it's not about this, nobody's set in stone. There's kind of any kind of guidelines for the public when they make that, not the consultation finishes, but when it may go forward to council or the planning officer. Just a clarification, or can we put that on the website when it's available? Okay.
I think we do have a timetable for various things, but I'm sure, and again, I'll refer to Mr. Clark in a minute, that if colleagues feel that a timeline should be put on the internet, we can put a timeline on the internet. I don't think that's a difficulty.
No, just to add, as makes clear, as previously stated, our broad timeline is to submit the plan by the end of the calendar year for examination. But some of those factors in terms of precise timing will be dependent on the number of representations which are made. But again, as the councillor has quite rightly said, if that would assist, we can look to put a timetable onto the website.
Yes, or just a guideline just for people, just have to be at a specific timeline, just so people can see what the process I was going through. Okay, thank you.
No, I'm sure we can do that, Councillor Grocott. We'll put that in hand.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? I have one, if I may. We had some discussion about it at full council. And one of the topics of discussion, because there was an amendment proposed to this, the consultation, to say that it should be delayed, or that we should bring it back to another council for some further voting before we sent it out to the public. Not a political point, although I appreciate full council was extremely political. I know as an authority it's been a very long process for us getting here in our journey towards securing a local plan. And we've always had eyes cautiously on the government to see whether or not things are likely to change, whether the goalposts will be moved or the sands will shift beneath us. Do our portfolio holder or the officer have any comments they'd like to give in relation to what was discussed at full council? And would it have made a material difference? Would things change if we had delayed this? And are we concerned that there will be a future change? I know that it was very rapidly after our meeting, it was maybe 48 hours before the Secretary of State got to her feet and announced that there would be changes for this process in future. Are we assured that we're not at any risk? Having begun this process, we are now on course to complete consultation, and are we on course to get it submitted and considered, and we're not expecting anything to change in the meantime?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, when I finished, I'll ask Mr. Clark to comment, because he is wise and I'm foolish. But my understanding is that had we not gone through the procedure we did at last full council, as you rightly say, the government moved very, very quickly. The present government moved very quickly to change the standard method of calculation for housing need. In fact, our calculation fell within the limits of tolerance, but that the new government have produced. But nonetheless, had we not been at that stage, we would have had to use the new calculation, and that new calculation would have generated a larger number of housing units. As for the future, I think at a previous scrutiny committee meeting, when you asked me, Mr. Chairman, as I recall, what you thought the biggest danger was, and I said my thought was that that an incoming government would change the calculations. Indeed, they did. We cannot, of course, do anything but conform to national legislation, which is the law, after all. At the moment, I don't see any straws in the wind that things will change further, but they may do. We simply do not know in that respect. And obviously, if that's the case, we will have to adjust our plans accordingly. I fear that were that to be the case, the numbers would only be moving in one direction.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add, just in terms of some factual points, in terms of the National Planning Policy Framework, consultation runs until the 24th of September. And within the package of proposals put forward, there's some transitional arrangements which are in draft paragraph 226, which says that if a plan is at regulation 19, which is the stage that we're at, and is no more than 200 below the housing figure produced in the consultation arrangements, the implementation of the new standard method, which is the 593 figure, and our local plan's at 400, then that plan will be examined under the December 2023 version of the NPPF. All that is to say that currently we consider as officers that we can continue with the consultation. As I said, that is a national consultation that's ongoing until the 24th of September. As Councillor Pearce says, we'll respond to any changes in the final version as appropriate at that time.
I think it's fair to say, Mr. Chairman, there's a little quote in a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta, isn't there, on the lead character, so it's always gratifying to have one's opinion supported by competent authority, and I hope that that's what my comments and Mr. Clark's comments have shown.
Thank you, and thank you for the education as well. I think members will be reassured to hear that. I know that whether the numbers are going up or down is a political discussion to be had elsewhere. My concern as a councillor has always been, is this process going to be strung out any longer? Is it going to be more difficult for us to meet the government's requirements? Are they going to hold up new hoops for us to jump through? Are they going to set the hoops on fire? And it has really, as I say, it's been a very long time getting here. Do any members have anything to add to that, either as feedback for the portfolio holder or a comment generally? Councillor Wheeldon.
Just a comment really. All that we can hope for is, as homework has been done so thoroughly by the officer and the councillors involved in the preparation of this, that the eyes of the house building government will be firmly on other areas that don't have such a well-organised plan.
Thank you for that, Councillor Wheeldon. I know that's been heard by our portfolio holder. If there are no further contributions on that, then we'll close the item and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is an update on the Town Deal and Future High Streets Fund. This is a report that I will certainly be seeing twice because I'm expecting it to come to the committee I usually chair. Do I understand correctly that we have the joy of Councillor Sweeney, the Deputy Leader, introducing this item?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you very much.
I'll pass everyone for the. This is the standing item on this. If you're lucky enough to be on fax next week, you'll see it again. It just goes to, for example, an awful cold blown. People work that out. It's just an update on all the different projects in the town centre and in Kidsgrove. It's a report that comes every time we have this meeting. I think it's a good report. I think it's something worth looking at. But the final detail of it, I'll pass it over to the Chief Executive, go through each item, and then feel free to ask Elaine or myself if any questions.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll be deputising for my deputy. I'm hoping 2 negatives make it positive in terms of the report. This report, as the portfolio holder has noted, sets out the latest position on the Town Deal and Future High Streets Fund funded by UK government, and covers pages 9 to 22 of the report pack. Chair, I intend to just pick up on a few matters where there's some additional information to share with the committee. So firstly, turning to paragraph 2.1.2 related to York Place. That's just to note that the contractors, or the developers rather, capital centric, have appointed demolition contractors. Hoardings in the site will go up within the next few weeks, likely in September, and obviously the site is subject to planning permission. On the Castle car park site, members may have seen that the battening or the structure for the cladding is going up. It's now on two sides of the building, so we'll start to see the bronze coloration go up in the next few weeks. The site may look fairly quiet from other angles, but there's still a lot of work happening on that site in terms of the concrete pour for the decks being set out, and that work will continue for a late autumn launch. So really good progress on the Newcastle car park site. In relation to 2.1.6, which is the Aspire housing, as the report notes, Aspire have now agreed with Capital Centric as the developer's site boundary and the works that will be undertaken to develop out residential units. I met with the chief executive of Aspire this morning, and they are very pleased with both the relationship and progress, working hand in hand with Capital Centric on that site. In relation to 2.2.1, the Midway car park, technical surveys are underway again through the developer, and should obviously coming forward for that one. In relation to 2.2.3, the sites in Nutton and Chesterton, that was subject of planning committee last night and agreed. 2.2.4, the Zanzibar enterprise units, again being led by Aspire Housing. The architects have been, that is out for tender for the architects, and that will come back in October. Sustainable travel, which is 2.2.6. The section 278 works commence on the 18th of September, and those will continue through. In addition to the reference made to the X25 service, pleased to update the committee that the K-Line service run by D&G buses is now in place. On 2.2.9, fibre network is on schedule to be installed within the year. And on item 2.3.3, firstly to note the spelling error, which was of course Canal River Trust, not Raven Trust, although that might work equally well for people walking by the canal, which is obviously one of the intentions. And that work is due to be underway shortly. Paragraph 8.2 sets out, as usual, the spend profile. Section 9 just refers to risk. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive introduction of the report. Welcome tonight, Councillor Edgerton Plunkett. You are in the right room. We're just heavily substituted tonight, including myself. We have got to item 5 on the agenda, which relates to the town centre update. Do any councillors have questions to put to our A team tonight of portfolio holder and chief executive in relation to this item? Well, I'll go for Councillor Rees first. He's not spoken.
Hi, thanks. Just in terms of, well, two quick questions. One around the new hotel. Do we have any kind of interested hotel brands? Press and interest?
Yeah, Ibis.
Second question was, I'm not sure whether the exec mentioned this, in terms of the Midway, has a structured assessment been undertaken by Capital Centric in terms of the viability of the concrete structure. Is that what the,
Yes, so councillor, that's the technical surveys that are being undertaken, so capital centric have the latest idea of dealing with in terms of technologies and taxes. So you want to see previously the plans beside Birmingham through those surveys.
okay, thanks.
Okay, councillor Gorton, that's all.
Thank you, Chairman. After waiting questions about hotels and my question is really about the planters in the market. I can see where the site is, but at the moment, I think we've got fencing round, referencing the report to work starting in early September. So, yeah, how will we fix?
We're fixing this that way really. The number of planters that we purchased stuck on a container somewhere. They're waiting for them to land. That's caused the problem. It's not in a way a massive delay because we can't plant the trees in there till October because that's when the planting season starts. But yeah, it's something we're frustrated with ourselves. You know, we were hoping it all done, the grass could be laid and everything else yet, but it's held up and this thing being stuck in a really contagious way. But it's a good question, Richard.
Is there a follow up to that? No?
I accept the explanation that the board on it.
Excellent. In that
I
case,
anticipated it, but
understood. Councillor Grocott.
Thanks, Chair. Just two things, obviously, being from Chesterton, glad to see you last night it going through in different ways. One thing I've been disappointed about a lot of things is S106 money. Just looking at two things, obviously, regarding the Newcastle sides. Are we going to have the same problem there as you've gone through that stage? And the other one is actually on the Kidsgrove one, 2.31. Obviously, Chatham Valley, Part D unit, obviously, for Kidsgrove Town Council as well. Could you just remind me who's actually purchasing that Part D? Is that receiving or is that somebody else? Am I getting mixed up with that? And the second one is obviously how will that impact us? Because looking at it, I think the full funding has been spent on that. So how will that impact us on all aspects? Okay, thank you.
It won't really, in fact, to a certain extent, it's beneficial because there's various things with an enterprise zone. So the county council get first dibs on any business rates. Well, the new situation for it isn't going to be there; it'll be somewhere else, and we'll draw the business rates as it's actually advantageous to ourselves in a negative sort of way. It's
Yeah, so I guess another question. I'm just looking at it and just coming back to the Kidsgrove train station situation. Obviously, you know, there's been underlying problems. It isn't anybody's fault that we absolutely saw. Just wondering, obviously, I think it's more different fund that we might need from HS2 looking at the report. So how are we looking on that aspect as well, please?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. So I think as you describe, the discussions are still in progress with Network Rail around what that allocation will look like, and if necessary, we'll confirm that with public transport as well in terms of where the HS2 allocation has got to in the process. So to raise that into follow-up officers and
Okay, fantastic. Are there any further questions? Councillor Adcock.
Thank you. Well, I just want to welcome the what you said about the under sustainable travel, the new circular route, the K route that just believe started this week, which is going to connect up Silverdale, Nutton, and Keele with like up to every 30 minutes, which I think would be really useful for students. I wish they had it when I was a student at Keele. And of course, the new route they're going to have with the 25. Can you just confirm for me, is the K circular route, is that inclusive in this town deal, or is that a separate scheme being run by the county council? Can you just clarify for me? Thank you.
I will confirm that back to you in writing if that's okay, Councillor. I believe that it is separate to, but we've taken advantage of the investment that's going in through the town deal to add that in. But I will clarify that point with officers and come back to you. And I agree with your point around it's a really important part of the public and active travel mix that we see, particularly related to not sort of killing salmons and making those is stronger. So,
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you for that answer. Would it be possible for you to circulate that written response to councillor, perhaps the other members of the committee as well? Thank you. Councillor Wheeldon.
I can't believe this, my second comment rather than asking a question, but here we go. I've looked at the work that Capital and Centric have been doing close to Stoke Station, and they are incredibly good builders, clean sites, everything is well done, and with a view to least problems caused for people passing by. So that whoever sort of got together as a group committee, whatever, to choose them, I applaud them for that. The other comment I'd like to make is my husband's family have been Newcastilians for over 70 decades, and they applaud the fact that the heritage facades are going to be kept as far as possible, so that it doesn't detract from what is the essential core about the town centre, and it matters a lot to people who've lived in the area for decades. So those are two of the very positive things I'd like to bring to the meeting.
Thank you for those remarks, Councillor Wheeldon. Do either Councillor Sweeney, please respond.
A couple of things, well, not so much about that in general. A couple of things really is towards the back of this, there's a list of expenditures, one of which is the plastic fund one. And on that you'll find £11 million, which is 865,000 left. And one of the things that our developers like about us is we don't hang about. And I would think we'd probably be near enough the first people to get all the few charges just like that door, actually doing something with it. The second thing, which you might find science been interested by, is fascinating. I had a walk around the car park the other day, and you know how the Midway car park is flat, then sort of what's the word, ramps between each floor. The new way of doing it isn't like that. Floors slope, the floors are the ramps. So you go in there, you go around and around outside a circle, and these wretched things that scratch your cars on the side. And it's just a new way he's doing it, and it's really, I think it's a super when you think of it, it's time. If you get excited about it, then car park. I get excited. But then again.
I think the grievous problem is that commenters on social media get very excited about car parks, and unfortunately in North Staffordshire there is a history of white elephants, perhaps. And I've always been keen to maintain this is not the case. We are building a new car park to replace a car park that will be decommissioned. It is in line with our priorities. It's in line with what our residents want and need, which is a car park where their cars don't get scraped up. So thank you very much for the report, for the update. I'll look forward to saying much more on that when it comes to my committee. Are there any further comments or requests? Because this is a standing item, it will come back to us. Do members want to see more of anything in particular when it next returns to this committee? Is there any detail that's lacking? And if you think of anything in the time between now and the next meeting, don't hesitate to get in touch with Councillor Parker, not me. In that case, I'll close that item. Thank you very much to our officer and our portfolio holder presentation. That concludes the substantive items. Number 6 on the agenda is the work programme. It has been printed out for you. If anybody has any suggestions to make now, I will be passing them over to Councillor Parker. It won't be for me to decide what goes on the work programme. But if nobody has anything to add or to comment on, we'll move past it. In that case, item number 7 is public question time. I've been given no notice of any public questions. Item number 8 is urgent business. I've been given no notice of any urgent business looking at our officers, in which case the meeting is closed. Thank you very much for your attendance tonight.